previously in Growing Food Brand series.
On what you need to do with a product. We've got three basic areas to work with. What is it about your product that makes it innovative? The other two pieces that you need to think about are the pricing and then also the competition. With your competition, you want your product to stand out. You're not going to be able to just go in, and I wouldn't recommend you ever do that. We wouldn't do all this work that we're doing for your product to have a product that is price parity or priced lower than the other items in the category. What we want to do, and generally what I do with my clients, we want to have supreme value. We want to we're going to supply unmet needs with our product, and then we also want to get paid for that. So we're going to help the buyer elevate their retail sales in the category by bringing customers to your product, new customers to the category, and also possible customers of the category for them to upgrade to your product. That's very important. Don't think to bring your product to market, think, the way I'm going to get on the shelf is by having a lower price. No, the way you're going to get on the shelf is by having greater value. It's not necessarily having a better price. And so that's what we want to demonstrate, that our product is innovative, that it brings value, and then we want to demand the price for that value in the category. And it's very important that you understand that how your product fits in, what's the context of your product within the overall category. And you really only can get that by going and looking at the stores, looking at your specific category, examining the shelves and looking at what's on the shelves, and then documenting what's on there. At the end of this section, I've got a audit sheet that you're going to want to take into the stores. You want to be casual with this. I don't like for people to see me taking notes. I would much rather them think that I'm looking at a shopping list. But my goal is to get in there, and I'll do it with photography, or I'll do it with a notepad and information. But I want to get the products that are in the category. So I want to get the product description. I want to get the size. So how many ounces is in that particular product, and then what's the retail. And then I'm going to start doing some simple math of what the retail price per ounce is and what the overall prices are. This is very important when you're working in specific categories. For instance, if I'm working with QVC television, which I've had 12 items, more than 12 items on QVC television, there is a specific price point I have to be at or above to be successful. If I'm working with club stores, I've brought 22 items into the club store business. I've been very successful with club stores. Part of that is you've got to walk the aisle and you've got to look at the other items in that category, and your buyer is going to have a preference for a certain price point, and you generally can see that. So if your product's retailing for $4.99 somewhere in the market, if you're selling them for $5, $7 in the market, there's a price that's going to be appropriate for the grocery store. There's going to be a price that's going to be appropriate for the club store. There's going to be a price appropriate for direct-to-consumer. While we're talking about that, just the packaging itself, it has to fit on the shelf. For instance, when I was working with Georgia Olive Farms, one of the issues that we had with some of the earlier bottles, we were considering bottles that wouldn't necessarily go on the shelf in that particular category. So in the wine category, we could have had the taller bottles. But when we were looking at the shelving sizes, there were limitations on that. So the only way you find that out is by visiting the retailers and walking to the shelf and looking exactly where your product's going to go. You don't want to be just creative for the sake of being creative. You need to have a purpose of that. But what's happening in that category, what's happening on that shelf, think about almost duplicating what's there currently as far as the form and shape of the product. So when you're sitting there looking at the different packages that are on the shelf, you don't necessarily want to be extremely different unless there's a reason. If you've got a branded reason, if it's part of your innovation and it connects to your consumer and your brand, then that could potentially be an opportunity for you to change the packaging up. But when you first come to market, you want to look at what's on the shelf. And if you don't have really a lot to think about, look at what the majority of the other products are in the category, but you can simply look at the size of the package, go there. If everything is 16 ounces, you want to go with that. If you're looking at, say, in a club store and everything there is 32 ounces, 36, 2-3 pound packages, just copy that to begin with as you get started. That's a safe, easy way for you to get going, to move from hand-packed to commercial production.